whatever points you are putting forward, that should be supported with suitable examples as well as statistics. Please conclude with a call for some specific action, or it can be an appeal, a request, a warning, anything like this, or also it can be the expression of thanks. The debate has to be prepared properly by considering both the positive and the negative aspects of the topic. Hello everyone. A very warm welcome to all the young minds of Class 11 CBSE. I am Dr. Shalini, your English teacher at Prep School. Today I'm going to understand two topics under writing skills. One is speech writing, the other one is the debate writing. Let us see what is there in today's session. We'll start with understanding the meaning of speech, then we'll move on to the components of speech. Then we'll understand what are the important points that we have to keep in mind when we are writing a speech. Then we'll move on to the format of the speech. We'll then switch over to debate, the format of the debate, and also we'll learn about the points that we have to keep in mind while writing a debate. So let us start by understanding the meaning of a speech. So what is a speech? We need to understand first. A speech is something which is very effective to communicate to a larger audience. It is one of the ways of spreading some awareness regarding some social issues, or it can be giving some information about some important issues that are prevailing around you. Speech is like as a form of writing. This speech is similar to any article for that matter, okay, except that there is no byline here. It also begins with a formal address to the audience, and also it is more conversational in tone compared to the article, and also it concludes with a thank you. I just compared it with an article because it is easy for you to understand the way in which speech is written. A speech is also written for a specific purpose, like maybe some informing, or maybe persuading some audience, or maybe convincing, or it can be something to entertain the audience that is gathered there. So this is the meaning and purpose of a speech. We'll now understand what are the components of the speech. We begin with an introduction. The speech always begins with an introduction. This introduction will have greeting, that is, it can be the chief guest or the principal or the teachers or maybe any other listeners. So all these are there in the introduction. It may include some striking statement. It can be a very short anecdote. Anecdote in the sense a very small incident which you can start your speech with. So that is an anecdote. Then it can also be a saying, that is some saying given by, some quote given by a great personality. So that can be a saying, or it can be anything else that will immediately make the audience turn towards the person who is giving the speech. So the topic of speech is announced on during that occasion, if at all it is required. Next comes the elaboration of the topic. So what is there in this elaboration? This includes the sequence of ideas. So when the topic is announced, when it is related to that topic, whatever ideas you have, so all that sequence can be put over here. It is actually used to build up or sum up the, and also it then goes to the conclusion. So all the ideas you put forth, then when you switch over from one idea to other, the transition should be very minor. So that will be there. All the points will be put in together, then we will sum up, and then the conclusion. In between, when you put forth all the points, then you may include some examples or some evidences or any data that needs to support the ideas which you put forth. You can also paint verbal pictures, means your words may be very pictorial. I mean to say, through your words only you can make the listeners imagine what you are trying to say. So that verbal pictures can be put through your words, and also dramatize, or sometimes you can personalize the information also. How do you personalize the information? You can take an example and you can give a real life example also. You can choose an idea and you can choose some data that is there around you only. Okay, so such examples can also be given in the elaboration of the topic. So this elaboration consists of the major part of the speech. So this is very important, and grammatically also this should be perfect. So this was the second component of the speech. The third and the last component is summing up and conclusion. So summing up and conclusion, they go hand in hand, they come together. So summarizing the most important points in our speech and not repeating them comes under this summing up. Suppose you have cited few examples there, the outcome you want to sum up over here, make sure you don't use the same words which you have used in the elaboration of the topic over here. Make sure you put it in different words. So conclusion depends on what is the purpose you are giving your speech, that will be the conclusion. Please conclude with a call for some specific action, or it can be an appeal, a request, a warning, anything like this, or also it can be the expression of thanks. So this constitutes a speech. So now let us move on to the important points that we have to remember while writing a speech. A speech should always begin with a catchy introduction. This can be in the form of an anecdote, that is a real life example, or something related to the lives of the audience or the listeners, or it can be a quotation also, a quote by any famous personality, as I said before, or it can be statistical in nature, any kind of data you use in order to provide the input to the listeners. So it can also be that also. So speech must reflect on the speaker's clarity of thought, whether the speaker has understood the topic himself first should be told to the listeners. Then the accuracy of facts, how well he can bring the facts and he can put it before the listeners is what matters the most. And also a balanced view through comparison. If you are comparing something, some two things, maybe a good thing with a bad thing, then you should not be judgmental enough to persuade the audience to accept one side. Either it is good or bad, it should not be one-sided. So it should be a balanced view when you are comparing something, and also it has to contrast with the other viewpoints. If at all you want to say, if you want to persuade some audience, your speech is there to persuade some audience towards some good cause, then it should also contrast the other side, other view of that topic which you are talking. Okay, so make sure you compare and contrast the viewpoints. Then a speech may also give reference to a newspaper or any report or any poster, advertisement or any other stimuli through which the reader or the listener is able to understand, he is able to decide based on the inputs what he has received. Okay, so in your speech you can quote so many examples, so many data in order to take your topic forward. Then the main part of the speech you need to concentrate is that it should be restricted to the word limit. Whatever word limit they give you, it has to be restricted. Most commonly it will be 120 to 150 words. So you need to please keep in mind that it has to be in this word limit only. So these are the points you need to remember, and there is an example that I have given before you. So this is the school that is celebrating Teachers' Day. Write a welcome speech for the Teachers' Day function. Thank the teachers and acknowledge their efforts in 120 to 150 words. So you know the purpose. It is a speech for welcoming the gathering for a Teachers' Day function, and the word limit is 120 to 150 words. So this example we have already seen in the live class. Okay, if it is not clear, you can go through this and it will be clear for you now. First thing you have to concentrate is the title that is given over here. Okay, so why is the speech written is given over here? So that is the title. Then we have address to the listener. So you are addressing the gathering over here. That is good morning everyone. So this is how you have to address. Then comes the body of the speech. In this body comes the opening lines first. Okay, so I welcome you all on the occasion of Teachers' Day. So this part is the opening line. Then we have the main content. Okay, so that is the body of the speech. So you can see there are so many points that this person has included here. Okay, so this day is celebrated to show gratitude. So why is it that we are celebrating Teachers Day? And there is no profession nobler than teaching. So all this he puts over here. Fine, he has given some gratitude to teachers, then he has also put so many things that is related to teaching. Okay, so for living a life of discipline and also enlightened life, so we need teachers is what he says. So just go through the content over here, then you can see the closing lines or the summing up part over here. Okay, in order to salute the selfless soul like our teachers, we are putting up few programs on stage. I hope we are able to portray our love and gratitude for them through these programs. So these are the closing lines, the gratitude that is being expressed over here. Then it ends with a closing line. Okay, so here is the summing up, then comes the closing line. So this is the example of a speech here. Okay, hope it is clear to you. Now we'll move on to what is a debate. We need to understand what is a debate first. So debate is actually a contest. Okay, it is a contest between two speakers, okay, or two groups of speakers also it can be, in order to show their skills and abilities over an argument, through an argument over a topic. It can be the positive side, it can be the negative side. In speech it is only one-sided, whereas in debate it is the other way. He has to argue for the positive side or the negative side. So that is the contest kind of thing. It is a kind of formal discussion that happens before public assembly or maybe any legislature. So I just cited an example here, like you have in parliament, the discussion that goes on. So that is also a debate, because any topic for that matter, any point which you put forth will have a positive side as well as a negative side. There will be always many viewpoints through which you can view any point, like we have two sides of a coin, like that only here also it is there. This will usually be in a form of persuasive manner, means you tell them to do something. Through your good points, you tell them to do something. Through the bad part of what you're looking at, that is the negative, you are bringing forth the negative aspects of that topic and you're telling them not to do something. So through that you have two different persuasive ways in which you can either tell them to do or ask them to refrain from doing something. So this has an aim of converting the view of an other person and of that of the audience to your own point of view. Suppose you are telling somebody to stop smoking, that is, smoking is injurious to health. Suppose you are against it, you want to say smoking helps you, then you should be you have to argue in such a way that the person who is not smoking should be able to smoke. So that way you should be persuasive in nature. I'm not telling you that you should do this, but I just gave you an example. Though it is bad for health, you should be able to argue in such a way, you should be able to bring forth such points in such a way that you should be able to persuade that person to come to your point of view. That is what is called as a debate. So a speaker either speaks for or against the issue that is being discussed. So a topic will be given, it will be usually for the motion as well as the against the motion. Some points which we have to remember when it comes to debate is that debate should always have a good introduction. That is the main thing. Why is that? Because it has to grab the audience's attention and it also should garner the interest in that topic. Garner the interest means to kindle that interest, that spark of curiosity should be kindled in the listeners. Then the debate has to be prepared properly by considering both the positive and the negative aspects of the topic. If at all you are arguing in a public place, then it is you have to prepare only for one side. But when you're writing it in your exam, you need to speak for as well as against it. So you should be prepared for both the things. You have to switch your floor immediately. Highlight the main points of your argument emphatically, means with examples you need to highlight all the examples and you should be able to make your stand very clear from the very beginning. If you are arguing for it, you should be able to make it very clear from the beginning that you are arguing for the topic. Okay, for that you may choose few data that is available emphatically. Then while developing points, substantiate them with relevant examples statistics, etc. Substantiate is to support. Whatever points you are putting forward, that should be supported with suitable examples as well as statistics. You can choose newspaper reports or anything for that matter as you do in speech. Fine. These are the points that we have to remember when we are writing a debate. It has to be always in argumentative style, and also it has to be logical when it is considered with the viewpoint of the audience. You should state your opinion or whatever your view is in the concluding lines with a powerful statement to emphasize your stand on the issue. In the end, when you are summing up, you should be able to put your stand very firmly. That means whoever listens to it, they should feel that yes, this is right and we have to go on this side. So that is what the listeners have to feel. Some examples can be added in support of your view. You can also take real life examples over here. You can put them as substantiation for your viewpoints. Throughout the debate, you need to stick to your viewpoint either in favor or against it. If you are arguing for it, you can put forth some statements or examples that are for it. If you are against it, you have to do it in that way. You should be ready for both of them. Include rhetorical questions, means some questions that require logical thinking and answering. Some rhetorical questions which make your opponents consider the validity of your point while it undermines their point. Some questions that have to be put forward in the debate should make the opponents think whether he is right or wrong. Somewhere he should feel that yes, what he is telling is right. So if that spark is kindled in the opponent's mind, then your debate is 50% successful. So that is what you have to do. You need to make the opponent think whether he has prepared it correctly or not. If he doubts his ability, then you are successful. Address the jury and the audience properly. Jury, the people who are there to decide. Yes, this is not there in your exam writing. That is, whoever writes it, that is nobody is going to, no jury is going to read your this one, the debate or anything and then decide. But you have to write this. That is the format in which a debate has to be written. So you need to include addressing the jury also in your debate. Okay. So these were the important points. Next, we have an example here. Okay. So format of a debate. So now suppose I am arguing for some example here. Topic here, the right to education is a realistic and achievable goal that will change the face of education in India. So this part is the topic. Now the person who is arguing here, that is Harshita, who is arguing here, she is arguing against the motion. So first you need to write that this person is arguing against the motion. Even when you are writing in your exam, you need to specify that you are writing against the motion first. Then you see the person has addressed the gathering over there. Worthy chairperson, secretary and dear students. She has addressed the gathering over there. Then she has introduced herself. Today I, Harshita, stand before you to speak against the motion. She has made her stand clear over here against the motion. So what is the topic? She has also specified the topic in the next line. So till here the introduction is done. Then comes the actual body of the debate. So against the motion, whatever she has included, everything will have the points that argue against the motion only, against the topic only. She says that the right to education is not realistic and is not at all an achievable goal. So that is what she tells over here. So she has included many examples also. For example, you can see over here we still see dropouts, and also the various media also she has included. Okay, some data that is publicized by the government she has used, and also they are picking heaps of garbage, and also she has included some examples from the villages wherein there are no schools at all. So how can it be an achievable goal is what she is asking. So this is the body of the debate when she is arguing against the motion, and she puts her decision here. Okay, I don't think RT will be successful in its mission unless we change our work. She has suggested some step which has to be taken in order to make it successful. So these are the closing lines. So I therefore oppose the motion. So she says she is against the motion and it ends with a thank you. So this was for against the motion, means the girl who has argued here has argued against the topic here. Now let us have a look at somebody who is arguing for the motion. So here it is for the motion. That means this person is supporting the topic. So again the introduction comes over here. It need not have to be worthy chairperson, secretary, dear students, nothing like that. It can be in your own way, but I have just given an example to you. Okay, so here he is specifying his name and he is telling that he is going to argue for the motion. Okay, so he is for the topic. The right to education is realistic and all. So now he has taken few examples wherein RTE can be successful. So what are the example he has taken? So RTE will greatly benefit the children coming from poor and marginalized families. So that is one striking feature of RTE. These children from poor background can study with the students who are there from elite schools. Okay, so they will be provided opportunities in elite schools wherein they can learn better English, better discipline, so everything compared to the underprivileged schools that are there in their area. So that is the main thing he has included. Then RTE ensures that all schools meet the norms specified by the government. So the government rules also will be followed is what he says. Then he also tells that it ensures that all children receive quality schooling. Okay, so in my opinion, education and literacy are the keys to many problems. So that is why children will receive very good education is what he says. Okay. So then he tells that literacy of the population significantly can be raised over here. So this increases that, and this particularly that of the females has to be increased, he says. So everything he has taken in support of the argument. So when you are preparing for a speech question for your exam, you need to look into both the sides, the positive side as well as the negative sides, because you have to write both. You have to write against the motion as well as for the motion. You write for first or against later, that is fine. Okay, so first you need to prepare for against, then you have to prepare for also. Then you can see the closing lines. Thus RTE is effectively, if it is effectively implemented, it's a realistic and achievable. So there in against you saw few points, if you work on it, then it can be successful is what she says. So here also he says if it is effectively implemented, then it can be achievable is what he says. So there is a condition for both the topics to be successful. Okay, so these are the closing lines. Then it ends with a thank you. So this is for the motion. Now you saw against as well as for the motion over here. So this was the example of a debate. Okay, so we saw an example of a speech as well as a debate. So this session would be very useful to you. Please go through the session and then go through the PDF that is sent to you. You will be able to understand and write it on your own. So any doubts, we are always there to help you. Thank you for your time. Keep learning. Let us meet shortly. Take care. Bye-bye.